What's up, YouTube? Catcher Kid here, hitting you with the video real quick. Well, a voice memo of sorts. I hope it's not too loud. Listen to some music, playing some Smash Bros, getting my ass whooped. But I had a little bit to drink, so sometimes my drink is kind of a stimulant. Sometimes it's a detriment, but it's whatever. It makes it fun. Anyway, this video, it might be a little long, but not too long. I'm gonna try to. It might be a couple segments as well. I am multitasking like crazy, but not really. Anyway, I had mentioned before that I wanted to do a segment called Death, War, and Fiction, talking about death, war, and fiction, obviously, as the title would entail. Maybe we'll talk about the death aspect. Death and fiction, we'll do war and fiction or something like that. Namely, I wanted to talk about kind of the significance of life in literature and entertainment, and as well as in real life. I know there's been some stuff going on back in America for me. That's home. In Oregon, I believe there was a mass shooting of some sort. I confess that I have not looked into that because it is highly depressing. And living in Japan, I live in kind of a bubble. I'm not oblivious. Obviously, I know about it, but I'm also, just being safe, being naive, like I said, being in my bubble. With that being said, the idea came from just driving home today. But when I drive here in Japan, I notice very often that as I'm driving, I hit maybe at least 3 to 4 bugs a day, like moths, butterflies, and dragonflies. And I feel, it's kind of sucky because these bugs have it difficult. Most people, bugs are like the most easily killable creatures on the planet. When someone sees a roach, for instance, their immediate response is not to help that nigga live, it's to kill him and get him out your house. With spiders, with any number of things. And that's understandable. Like, for me, if I saw a scorpion in real life, I would probably just die. Like, they are scary looking creatures. And people that live in Texas and, like, Southern America, not South America, I mean, probably in South America too, like, I would be a little baby in that situation. I don't know what I would do. I would literally evacuate whatever building I was in and be on with my day, and I would not go back inside that building. That's how I feel about scorpions. And that's fine. Man, he won again. It's all good. So that got me thinking that, like, I've always felt that life is important, and I know many people in high school encounter the persuasive essay or the argument against the death penalty. Like, that's one of the common things: abortion, death penalty, yada, yada, yada. And for me, I've always felt that every life is equal in the sense that everyone deserves a chance at living. Now, that's when it gets a little murky. And I admit that I wear rose-colored glasses. But with that being said, I strongly believe that. So for me, someone that kills someone still deserves to live, even if they took the life of someone else. They still deserve to live. I don't think they deserve the same freedoms or liberties that someone that has not killed before would get, which is why. But what I'm saying is I'm against things like the death penalty because, for one, and this is shout out to the Game Manic, Insane Game Freak. I don't know what handle he goes by now, but I liked his discussion videos. I didn't really watch him very often, but I like this kind of like discussion talk because it like factors not only into life but into anime and shit too. Because a lot of these things are explored in One Piece and Bleach and Naruto and Dragon Ball and whatever have you. I'm trying to win, but I'm also trying to... Anyway, so And the reason I feel that is because no matter what, a person living is more useful than a person that is dead. Not more useful, that's not the right way to phrase it. But like, a person that is alive still has something to offer. So in that regard, someone that has committed a heinous crime may repent and may figure out something and be able to help someone else or may be able to prevent that from happening to someone else. Over time, they may be able to rationalize what they've done, figure out what drove them to that point, and be a voice for someone in the future to stop them from doing it. Granted, it would require more than just like a prison necessarily. That's why I have this idea that prisons are not bad. Prisons are, I wouldn't say bad, but like, I feel like when someone does something heinous like that, it's more of a mental issue, and I feel like all prisons should be converted into mental institutions. That's something I don't know how feasible that would be or anything like that, but like that's a genuine feeling that I have. So let me take you back. So I'm driving, and like I said, I hit a butterfly or some shit, and it's a crummy feeling because I know I've killed a butterfly. Not a butterfly, but I've killed bugs before. Like, we probably all have. And we kill animals to eat, and we kill vegetables and shit like that. But what I'm saying is, the feeling, like, when I've killed a bug, that's the only time in my life that I've harmed something with the intent of killing it, with the intent of ending its life. And that's, on some levels, that's kind of maddening, because just because I'm a sentient being and I'm able to think rationally and for myself and make decisions, that doesn't necessarily make my life any more important than the bug, than the ant that does its job for the earth, than the spider that kills other bugs and shit like that. Like, I'm not saying any of that. Man, I'm gonna stop playing Smash because I'm getting my ass whipped. But, like, it doesn't make me any more important. And people often feel like they are more important because they're human, because of whatever reason they may have. And like, I'm trying to organize my thoughts in a more cohesive way. Bear with me. So like, in relation to something like Bleach Volume 48 poem, I don't know it well enough in Japanese, but it says Mina wa Saru. Basically, it's saying all humans imitations of apes. All humans imitation of apes, and all gods imitations of humans. Something like that. And that's very resonant because I discussed this in one of my classes too. The kind of image of this setup is that normally we'd like to imagine that we're superior to gorillas and monkeys and what have you, and we're actually not that much more superior than them. Like, a monkey can't drive a car, but I'm sure if we taught him to, he could, and things like that. But the kind of equation that is set is humans exist in the middle in between animals and deities. And it is natural for people to compare themselves to animals and also to the beings that they believe in or that they don't believe in. So we're unique in that sense. And the obvious idea is that, well, if monkeys gave rise to humans and humans gave rise to God, and the poem, I feel, is saying that the reverse should be the case, that the God should want to be human and the humans should want to be monkeys, because obviously the monkey in the situation is not concerned with being a human. The monkey is a monkey. A monkey doesn't care that he's not human. He doesn't think. I'd like to imagine he's not thinking about that. Whereas humans are torn between the idea of being animals and being more than an animal. And thus we think the things that we believe in are more important or more significant, and that's not the case. The God... So, traditionally in maybe Western religion, whatever religion, I don't know the semantics to explain this correctly. We'll say Christianity, not to step on any toes or anything like that. But like traditionally, humans are made in the image of God, right? So why would God make humans? So if God made humans, why should humans want to be a? I wouldn't say that we should want to be a god, but we often have this kind of this inferiority complex in terms of like, oh, because we like we have to submit to this being that made us, but maybe we're kind of losing something in the process of that. And that actually we should accept the fact that we are just monkeys, because that's really what we are. We have some intelligence, but we also submit to like innate desires, whether that's reproductional desires or like survival things, or I can't think of the right word, but you get what I'm trying to say, I hope. And I think that's interesting. I think that applies to life and in general, like how we live and how we share our lives on this planet, because we're all part of the system. And I know that things like the death penalty are enacted because of the system and because of the law. But the law is not always right. And the law is not always fair. And the law cannot judge every situation the same, because every situation is not the same. If someone is in a car accident and they killed someone, the basic fact of the matter is someone died in this process. Just in the same way that if someone is attacked, they defend themselves and they end up killing someone, a life is lost in that scenario as well. Or if someone has malice and an intent to kill someone, a life is lost in that matter. But all three of those situations are vastly different. And in certain situations, the person that is in the unfortunate car accident will walk away free, even if they didn't intend to obviously they didn't intend to kill anyone by driving, and so on and so forth. But that doesn't mean that the law is always right either, or that it's fair, or that there's a way to make it fair. And people believe in the law because of how it's been. And that also applies to Bleach and Tosin and his blind justice, and the fact that he goes against the Gote 13 because of what the Gote 13 did to his previous love and things of that nature. Like, that depth is there in Bleach, was really dope. It's also there in Naruto and One Piece and many other series as well. But me being a Bleach specialist, I'm able to hone in on that. And Tosin's a really interesting character, and I'd like to give him a little more shine, but I also don't have the time to, I'm not trying to write a thesis about Bleach, because I'm not in school right now. Anyway, so, some of those things have me thinking. But also, the idea that, so to bring it back, I don't have the instance of a loved one in my life being murdered by someone explicitly. Like, I don't have a cousin that was shot in the face or something like that. So I can't experience that. But I can say that when I lost my mom to cancer. So in this instance, part of it was her choice. She chose to smoke. It may have been genetically that she was predisposed to cancer, or, that kind of scientific explanation. But it's also the fact that someone made the cigarettes, right? If Big Tobacco made the cigarettes, they factor into the loss of life for anyone that experiences cancer as a result of smoking or tobacco or cigars, whatever. They're responsible for that, right? So who am I to blame as far as Big Tobacco goes for the loss of my mother's life? The whole company? But at the same time, this company exists to do what they do. Everything's a choice, and then in some ways, some things are not a choice. So I'll explain that, and I'll try to finish this within the next 5 minutes, because this is really long. I didn't know it was going to be this long. But what I'm saying is, I cannot say that everyone that has worked for big tobacco, past or previously, is responsible for my mother's death. And even if I could say something stupid like that, I wouldn't. I don't feel that they deserve to die as a result of the loss of my mother's life. It's it's not a 1-to-1 kind of ratio or scenario. It's not as explicit as someone murdering someone, but someone else's decision caused my mother to die in this scenario. Someone made these cigarettes, and they made them so damn attractive that people smoke them, and as a result, people die. And they are very well aware of the chemicals and the products that they put into these cigarettes, and they put them out, and people buy them. It's like that with alcohol. It's like that with fast food. It's like that with any kind of. It's like that with anything, really. It's like that with clothes. People make shoes, for instance, that are so expensive and so cool that someone will kill them to get their shoes, or to get their phone, or to get their chain, or to get whatever they have, their car, their anything. Right? But it's not so much like we're in control of ourselves, but at the same time, if someone exposes you to something, you lose kind of an autonomy over yourself. You lose that kind of free will in that sense to decide for yourself something freely. And I truly, wholeheartedly believe that. And in this scenario, no one is to blame. It's part of life. We are all going to die. We don't have a choice when we will die. We'd like to live as long as we can, but we really don't have a choice. We don't have any kind of choice at all. We can just do our best to live our lives, and lo and behold, our lives will end when they end. We don't have a choice when we're born, and we don't really have a choice when we die. And that's the nitty gritty that people don't want to admit. And then, to further elicit, the Bleach Volume 44 poem, Vice It, I'm pretty sure it's Vice It, with Tosin on the covers. The poem says something along the lines that if you believe in your own justice, you have to believe that other people are more evil for you to believe in justice. That your justice is more valid because other people are worse than you. Something like that. So, in this regard, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Got 2 minutes and some change left. But in this regard, you have to believe someone is more evil than you. Justice. Lost it. Sorry, guys. But I did have a small amount of alcohol, and this is kind of an off the cuff impromptu video. And I didn't really fully tie it into anime, but some things I do want to talk about. Well, let me see if I can remember it. Justice. That's what I was gonna say. So for me, I talked to one of my homies out here, the homie, and I had said something along the lines that, like, let's, for instance, believe that a sane person won't kill anyone normally. So, like, an old lady in the supermarket, for instance, she's getting her groceries, she's got some celery and some peanut butter and diapers, I don't know. And not for her necessarily, but let's say she has these things. When you look at her, you would not think that she has the capacity to go kill someone. Like, after she buys this, she's not going to go and fucking shoot her neighbor for playing loud music. Let's assume that a sane person wouldn't be driven to something like that. So when someone takes another life, let's assume that they are insane. Because that is an insane act by normal standards. Like, a normal person is not going to kill someone, I'd like to believe. So if that's an act of insanity, and then we have things like the death penalty. The death penalty, to me, represents madness in, like, its utmost form. That means a whole society, or at least a large number of people, decided that someone did something heinous, and we are going to commit that exact same heinous act to that person. That is insane, and that is a madness that I don't agree with at all. And that relates to Tosin in the sense that you have to believe your justice, that someone else is more evil. So in that case, the murderer is more evil. So that means that your form of justice, by taking out their life, is acceptable because people often will measure how many lives were lost in comparison to one person doing it, vice versa. But we have instances like war, right? Where countries like the United States will go into another country to police policy and, protect people and stuff. But what if there's an accidental casualty and that results from administering that justice? What if someone accidentally shoots the mother of someone's child who is not involved with any kind of terrorist activity? Accidentally, then they're exempt. Just like the person that commits manslaughter is more exempt than someone that does something with intent. I'm not saying that, like I said, no situation is exactly the same, but we have people, we as a nation, speaking from America's point of view, go to do something and end up hurting people. Just like war in the past has done the same thing. There's another country going to some other country to try to enforce their philosophy and what they believe is right, which may or may not be the case, but life is lost as a result. And people don't want to admit shit like that. Like, people want to believe blindly in stuff. Kind of like how Tosin blindly believed in his form of justice and what he was doing being the right cause, helping Eisen, tearing down the system from within, and then confronting it head on in the fake Katakura town battles. With that, next time I'd like to get into to relate it more explicitly to entertainment, because I'm not going to say something outlandish like the loss of a character's life in a comic is as significant as the loss of a human life. I will say that we tend to overlook the significance of these characters as far as representations and the ideals that they're imbued with. The little teaser for this, if anyone hung on for the fucking 22 minutes that I've been talking, and the song is really great. Maiden Heights is dope. But for instance, Neji in Naruto. I'm not the biggest fan of Naruto. For those of you that know that, who have been with me for long enough, you know that. But with that being said, Neji as a character, I'm not going to get into like whether a death is warranted or if a series earned it or if it telegraphed it perfectly for other people to be like, oh, that has an impact. But I will say Neji, or any character that dies, represents something to the fans. So there may be someone that's like, oh my god, I can relate so much to Neji, and oh, he just died. And that kind of illustrates that, as I said, death happens. We don't have a choice of when it happens. And you could argue that, oh, Kishimoto just wanted to do it for shock value, whatever. I don't think that's the case, and I also don't like when people try to explain how a creator, an author, or an artist feels, because they don't know. Best of my knowledge, unless you're that person, you don't know if it was planned. You don't know what intention anyone has. And as far as serializations go, it's kind of hard to exactly determine the course of your story. Like, shit changes. Even as well planned as One Piece is for Oda, I'm sure that the editor's opinion at some point in time has influenced the course of the story. And I'm sure Oda's life in general has influenced the course of the story. So, with that being said, I'm going to drop the four-finger peace sign. I hope someone listens to this, and you don't have to listen to it in its entirety, but I hope someone gets something from this, because there's something here, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but I am so very comfortable with what I'm saying and trying to get other people to think just slightly differently, because I've thought one way about things for so long, whether it be pop music, popular anime, popular TV, pop culture in general, real culture, living things. Like, I've clung so tightly to things that, like, I failed to see the bigger picture. And I want you guys to see the bigger picture. I want the world to see the bigger picture. And granted, we're not always going to be able to see that. We're going to get tunnel vision and shit sometimes. But we need to be willing, like Eisen said, like, we should think of the world not as it is, but as it should be. Like, losers just accept shit. And it's okay to accept some things. Like, there's some things that are not easily changed. Like, I can't make it that we have 29 hours in a day. Like, but with that being said, I'm just gonna drop it here. Enjoy your weekend, guys. Check it out, peep it. Look forward to Boku no Hero. I like this voice memo kind of podcasty feel because I don't have to set up my camera to record myself. Like right now I'm sitting in my underwear, I'm a Captain America shirt. Real as fuck, just chilling, listening to some music. On a Friday that turned into Saturday, I get up and do Eido. So it's very convenient for me. And I hope you guys vibe with me with that. Peace out.